Hello and welcome to Kitchen Countercrafts. If you like this video, would you please like, comment, share, and subscribe? I've actually been waiting quite some time to bring this pen to you. Yes, it's still a Waterman. I'm still going down the Waterman trail here, but actually this was one of the first ones that came in that lot that Sean Newton helped me to get started on, and so that's where I purchased several pens from him. It was last year, and this was one of those pens that was included in that lot of Waterman pens, and it is a Waterman CF. It's a steel nibbed one, but I don't really care. I was really excited because I didn't really own any Waterman pens before that. And every single pen that I had purchased in that lot was phenomenal. So of course I knew this one was going to be no different. But let me go through this pen and tell you why it's so special. Not only does it have a history behind it that I didn't know about, another reason why I love this hobby, but it also is a very interesting little pen. So without further ado, I'm gonna go through the pen characteristics. So this one is a steel nibbed Waterman CF, and in the front here, let me zoom in, there we go, it actually says Waterman's with an apostrophe S, so it's kind of one of those older ones because they changed it out to Waterman. And then this is also made in the USA. The Waterman clip is right here. Kind of looks like, somebody mentioned that it looks like a men's tie, which I don't know if that's what they wanted, but yeah, kind of does. And then it has like this very nice kind of angled cap up on top. And then it has a finial at the bottom part also. That's just metal. So very nice. And this is like a brushed steel silver. And then the top part of this pen is plastic. Yep, it is. Because the reason why I just tapped it, it's because some of the other ones later on are actually metal, and then there's corrosion that occurs. So the plastic one's not too shabby. And then the nib, it does not have any 18 karat specification, so I do believe it is a steel nib. So not anything too significant other than it is an inset nib. That means the nib can actually come out. It's not inlaid like the Schaefer Imperials, which are so beautiful, and also Pilot Elite. And then the back feed really has nothing to it, and it is just kind of plain plastic, I believe. So there's that. Now in vintage pens, a lot of times you have, you know, the lever fill, and then it has a sack in it, and then you gotta kind of deal with all of that. This has no sack. Interesting, isn't it? So this actually has these very weird little holes that I was not sure what to do with that. And then it has a little piercing thing inside. Can we see it? I don't know. Can you see it? I don't know. All right, well, trust me, it does. And this piece is also metal. The rest is all plastic. So, of course, I thought, well, let me grab one of my Waterman cartridges and put that in. So let's do that. I'm just literally gonna grab another one of my Waterman pens and do this and show you before I ink this guy up that yes, it'll fit right in here and it goes no further. Can you see the holes are empty? It will not push up in there. So the long Waterman cartridges will not work. So then I was like, all right, I have short Waterman cartridges because that's just how I've been rolling lately. And guess what? The short ones do not work either. So I had to do some research and find out that it has its own proprietary cartridges. So before I go into that, I'm going to go into pen specs. All right. So let's just hold that here for a second. In fact, we're going to push it out of the way. And then I am going to show you a little bit about this pen. And just so that you can see how big or small it is. It's actually a really nice size to write with. It's not too thick, not too thin. If you're like Goldilocks, it's just right. And so I went ahead and grabbed a Waterman Hemisphere. It's about similar build, if you will, of a hemisphere. They both have that nice metal piece at the end. They both have the slants up at the top as well. It's kind of an interesting little tidbit there. So when I was looking at both of them, I was like, interesting. They both look similar. So similar in size, right about 5.2 inches. And then here is my Waterman Expert 1, which is bigger and also wider in the girth. Actually, I'll leave that guy here. I shall leave you there. Okay, and then just for funsies, I grabbed my Parker 45, which is similar to Parker 51 size. So there's the Parker. I'll just show you. So you can kind of tell what was going on around the 50s when these pens were coming out. So similar in style, but also similar in size and the width of it. Yes, girth. There we go. Okay. Take these guys out. Take the Parker out. By the way, again, that's Parker, not the Waterman. And then I'm just going to put a TWSBI AL next to it so that you have a modern comparison of a pen. All right. So there's that. Now for the interesting little tidbits. So as I mentioned, well, no Waterman cartridge I have fits this thing, so it must have something else going on in this story. So after digging around, I found out that this pen actually was made in the United States in 1954 to 58. It was also made in England in like the 60s and 70s, and then it was made in France. It was also made in Canada somewhere along those years, but this is 1954 through 58, so we get a nice dating for this one since it's made in the US. And then some of these, like the ones made in France, actually have a metal converter with a sack, so you can actually find a converter for these. But the Waterman CF stands for cartridge fill, so that is the reason why it's called the CF. So it's called cartridge filler. And now this was the very first successful plastic cartridge pen in the US. Isn't that interesting? Did not know that. But there were cartridges out before that. They were made of glass. And on one of the blogs, it said Eagle Pencil Company actually was the original inventor of the cartridge pens. But they did that with rubber seals on glass vials. You can actually find some of the glass vials available on eBay, which I almost bid on. Then I was like, oh golly, what if it has a crack or it has a chip or whatever? So did not mess with that, and I'm so glad I didn't. Waterman Jif actually utilized the glass sealed vials in the 1930s, I believe. And then Waterman introduced this pen with the cartridge filler in 1953. So here's why it's significant. It's the first widely used cartridge filler system. It was designed by Harley Earl. So he was of General Motors. And so you have this very cool kind of sleek design that was going on at that time also. And then also, this is, again, the first pen to utilize a plastic ink cartridge. Before that, the glass ones, very rare. Most were lever fill with the rubber sack and also eyedroppers. But as I mentioned here, the cartridges are proprietary, and that brings me to why this video took several months for me to film, because I could not find these. Couldn't find them. And when I did find them, they were expensive. Why? Because they don't make these anymore. I there were several people who said that they are printing them, like 3D printing, which I don't do. I don't know anybody who does it. So I was kind of stuck because I had to figure this out. Another thing that's very significant about this pen that I don't want to leave out is that, and this is kind of sad, especially I'm feeling like it's bringing me to the end of my, or towards the end of my Waterman journey, which I don't think it is because I still have some other models. But this was the last major design for US based Waterman company. So in 1958, a merger took place between, actually he ended up owning it, by the Frenchman Marcel Beach. Now you have to be careful how you pronounce that last name because it's B-I-C-H, but you can actually pronounce it Bic. Does that sound familiar? He actually was already purchasing, he already owned a company in France that made, ready, drum roll, cheap ballpoint pens. He was making those in Europe. And by 1958, he had made over $5 million post-World War II because of Bic pens. So there you go. So that is one of the reasons why you're going to see something very cool. I feel like I own a piece of US history here. So this is what I ended up buying. It is 8 cartridges, a Waterman CF pen. The box came like this, which I'm okay with. That's all right. But when I was taking a look at this, I thought this was kind of interesting and very cool because it says Waterman Bic Pen Corporation in Seymour, Connecticut. And so these were made by Waterman Bic. So must have happened, I think it also further than dates my pen to around 1958. Well, not necessarily. This could have been made before, but my cartridges are 1958-ish because it is made in the United States and also made by Waterman Bic Company. Interesting, isn't it? So cool. All right, so if you want a screenshot of that, you can definitely have that. But I actually kind of watched some of the videos on YouTube. Nobody is daring to use their Waterman cartridges, but I am gonna dare to do that. So if you notice, it looks kind of like a bullet almost. It's got a metal end here. Don't know why, other than to seal it. And there's literally no ink in here, which is to be expected. But this kind of skinnier part is what goes in here. So I am now going to go for it here. Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. Literally scared. Where are you not going? Ah, there we go. Okay, perfect fit. Ta-da! So I utilized this and it pierced it here. So I'm gonna go wash this out, fill it with ink, and we'll do a test. All right, you know what I decided to do? I'm just gonna be very reckless here. I took out my syringe and started putting some water in here to rinse it out, and it was barely coming out, but then it kind of restored all of this ink in here. So I shook it up and we're just gonna use the old ink. Let's see how washable blue looks like in this pen. I don't know, just really living the vida loca here. All right, so I did not wet the nib, so we're just gonna try this out. I probably need to wet it. Let's go, let's go. Well, this is fun. All right, so it's very nice that I can just stop the video when I need to, because this took me a lot longer than what I had expected. In fact, the sun is going down, and so I was kind of worried about what this is going to look like. Anyway, before the sun goes down further, let me go ahead and do a writing sample. I don't know if you can tell. It took forever for that ink to flow out, I don't know if I didn't have my cartridge inserted in all the way or what was going on, or it was my little experiment of making the washable blue ink come out. So it was super duper light, as you can tell up here, and then finally getting to a darker color. So let's do a test here. So this is the downstrokes are not doing very well. I feel like it's like a sleepy pen since 1954 because I don't believe it had been used since then. So I guess I can give it a little bit of a break. You know, 20 some odd years. It's only been 75 plus years. So anyway, all right, this is, no, it's not writing very well. It's skipping on me. There is no like medium or anything like that, but I'm gonna put steel nib. I'm struggling with this thing. All right. And a writing sample. Yeah, it's not doing anything on the strokes again. Oh, golly. All right, let me go off camera, see what's going on. So I don't know if you know, but I don't actually edit my videos. I just kind of pause them if some things are not going very well, mainly because you don't want to watch 10 minutes of me trying to start a pen. It hasn't been 10 minutes, it's been more like a minute, but I had to take the cartridge out, see if maybe something was clogging since it is old ink. Nothing was clogging it, so it was fine. It was pierced, and then I tried to squeeze the cartridge, which let some ink out, and so I'm gonna just try it again. At least it's writing now. I think my experiment's not that good. The ink is super light. All right, there's that. Yeah, it's just like skipping here, there. We're gonna try this out. See if it'll keep up with it. The nice thing is that the steel nib is super smooth. It's just not doing very well on the side stroke at all, or the bottom stroke, so. All right, well, unimpressive, especially in terms of getting this to write. If it starts writing, I hope it starts writing, I will post a video showing like maybe a short of a writing sample that looks better than this one. But again, like I said, I was so excited about this pen, but that joy's kind of zapped because waiting forever for this thing. So the nice thing though is because it is a vintage pen that uses a cartridge, a plastic one, I can actually use some of the more lubricated inks, maybe get this thing going a little bit. So I will try Iroshizuku or something along those lines to see if this will work better. So stay tuned. I'll do a short if I get this going again, but tell me about your thoughts on the CF and also Waterman history. I kind of love the history lesson part though. That's just me. If you like this video, would you please give it a thumbs up for me and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, and until the next time, bye.